Okay. So I guess we're onto this, right?
Yep.
We're live.
Hey everybody.
I see quite some people there connected. So before I start introducing the whole thing, I would like to have, because there is always a delay, so I would like to have people's, if you can tell us what do you expect, why do you come in here, what do you expect from coming into here. It will help us also address your questions, your priorities, whatever you care about. I hear a little sound. Okay, we muted it. So yeah, it will be very helpful for us to understand what you expect from us. So let me give a quick introduction. Today, Renaud is not supposed to be here, but he's not here. This is not Renaud.
No.
I mean, it's not Renaud that shaved his hairs. It's Phil. You know Phil, right? You people know Phil from education team.
Yeah.
I thought this is a good opportunity where we can have different other people from the team being with me in the product meetup. So for those who are new to this, the product meetup is a place where we basically announce things about the product, what's happening, what's going to happen, what are we planning. We try also, I love one part of it is like to think together about the new things that we're doing, so that we explain to you why we're doing things in the way that we do them, and then we have feedback from you that will allow us to learn and to adapt the things, right?
Yep.
So that's for the product meetup. I'm with Phil. Myself, Sadek. I work, at a CEO since I had to take this responsibility. And today we have several topics, right? And you saw it probably in the newsletter. We talked about, first we want to project into our plans. So we have some plans of like continuing with, custom types and how to model things and pages. And we'll talk more about it. That's why Phil is here with me. Yeah. We have some mock-ups to show you as well of that work. We'll talk about the goals and why we're doing it. And then I have Arnaud, who will be joining me. Some of you maybe know Arnaud from other videos. He's one of our core developers. He works worked and works on a lot of different things. He worked on the editor, on Slice Machine, and a lot of architecture issues. So Arnaud will be joining me for 2 topics. He will do a real demo of variations. So yes, variations are ready. Okay, we're still fixing bugs. We'll talk about Arnaud. You can ask him questions about this, and we'll show you running code. I see Arnaud is stressed about this. No, he's not. He's never stressed. We'll show some, a live demo of the running code, and you will see how variations look like and, what to expect there. And then we'll show a quick demo also of the custom type API that you can use for Gatsby or for generating schemas and stuff like that. And then we'll jump into another thing where Lucy will come and she will help me talk about, basically we'll show the bulk actions, a demo of bulk actions, and we'll talk about the new CLI that is coming, the Slice Machine CLI, the Prismic CLI, that will allow people to be able to integrate more technologies in Slice Machine. Like you can integrate Gatsby, you can integrate GridSum, or you can integrate other frameworks that we don't support because it's now open and there's a mechanism for that. So Lucy will walk us through these things, and then maybe we'll discuss other things. So how about that, like a plan? Let me check maybe also the people what they wrote. So Gatsby Slice Machine update. Okay, some people expect that.
Yeah, that'll be something the CLI will help out with.
Yes. So that's the part of the CLI. We'll try to be quick so that we can cover all these. Version control, custom type API. Yes. That's good. We're going to talk about that in the custom type builder and then in the custom type API with Arnaud. Interested in the roadmap, Slice Machine being production ready. Yes, that's something we're answering today with this, and I will give some context. We'll give some context about this.
Yeah, we're hitting all the points here.
Versioning our content types. A lot of people interested in that. And then we have. Hi Henry. Thank you for being here. I guess also, I hope you get the vouchers better. This time we try to send the email from Uber Eats directly, so that you get it, and maybe you will have less problems ordering with the Uber voucher. Let us know if it was better for you.
Yeah, what's everybody eating? Because I haven't got my dinner yet.
Yeah, we're supposed to buy, our own food and have it here and eat it, but that wouldn't be very beautiful, I guess. I don't know.
It might sound a bit weird on the microphone.
Yeah.
Be Prismic ASMR.
Bono would love to do that.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Each time he has a microphone, he starts doing this. Anyway, we can talk about Bono because Bono is not here. Like we can badmouth him.
Yeah, he can't defend himself. It's easy.
Yeah, he can't defend himself. Okay, and if you use the vouchers and you order something, I like after I have this kind of routine after the meetup, see like what people ordered with this, and then get me inspired of what to order afterwards. I feel hungry after the meetup.
You like to spy on what people are ordering? Is that what you're saying?
No, they posted on Twitter, so it's not spying, right? Come on, this is the last time that you're finding this.
Sadek is watching everybody. That's what we're using your cookies for.
This is starting really well. All right, let's jump into the things that we wanted to talk about. So the first one is so basically we wrote into the newsletter, okay, that we talked about in the newsletter that there is a problem that we saw for everyone, that they want to version their content types, custom types. So that just to give some kind of background on this, custom type is what allows you to describe what kind of fields you need in your documents, basically, so that you can use them with pages and all these kind of things. I guess most of people are familiar with this, and a lot of people were saying like, okay, this is great, but custom types are basically the backbone of a website, right? If they break, well, the website will break because content will not be adapted. So if someone goes and breaks the content type, then you are in trouble. And how can you go back and maybe revert this change or do something about it? And we don't provide the versioning, and we've put so much thought into like how can we do it. So do we implement ourselves on the writing room some kind of versioning mechanism? But then when we asked a lot of people, we saw that naturally what they were doing is that they were downloading the JSON of the custom types and putting it in the code.
Yeah.
Why is that a good practice? It's simply because it will evolve together with the code. So you change the components, you change your code, you change the content with it, and so on and so on. So if you want to go back to an earlier stage, well, you have the branch, you have the commit in GitHub, and you can reverse both to that point, where the code will be in sync with the content itself. Yeah. So it seems that it's a natural place to put the model. You put it in your code, and then you get it versioned, and you don't need Prismic for that. It's much better. I mean, we could implement that feature, okay?
Yeah, but it's better to leverage something that exists and works better than something that we could probably...
Yes, it's much better. It's in sync and all of that. Yeah. And for people that were following Slice Machine, you would see that also we got... we basically have this builder, the Slice builder, right? Where you would basically, when you develop your component, you develop the model together with it, and both they live locally.
Yeah.
Right.
And from that structure, we've kind of moved the model itself already with the component into that process of versioning along with GitHub. So instead of in the past when everything was in the custom type, you would have to copy and paste it somewhere into the code. It's already there. It already lives locally.
Yes, so that's already exists. It already exists. It's already the workflow of building sections, website sections with Slice Machine. Basically, you build the model with the Slice builder, and when you hit save. It doesn't live in Prismic. It lives in your code, in a file in your code, and that's the best way And we did it for sections, okay. And then at some point you say push to Prismic, and then Prismic will be aware of the existence of these, and then you will be able to use it. But actually the source of truth is the code. So we experimented with this, okay, with Slice Machine. And actually we didn't invent exactly this. A lot of our clients were already doing that. Like I remember different clients telling us like, okay, what we like to do is break the page content into different sections, and each section will put the model next to the component itself. Okay, so that seems to be a practice. We brought this best practice into Slice Machine, and that's what the Slice builder is about. Maybe you can give a quick preview of the slice builder now.
Yeah, sure. If you want to share my screen, that's what we currently have. So anyone who's used Slice Machine before and the Slice Builder will recognize this screen, where any slices that you've created using the create slice command will automatically be added here. And if you enter one of the slices, you can see the different options you have. So this one got a few different fields, images, text, whatever, and it's from here in the Slice Builder that we send this to Prismic. So like we said, if you've worked with Slice Machine before, you'll be aware of this. If you haven't, maybe this is new for you, this is kind of what it looks like. So this is what you're doing with those components and slices, and this is when it's local, and then you send it to Prismic. And what we've worked on recently.
So before jump to that, because we want to push that further, but basically here these are the models for the sections themselves, not for the whole page, and then we break them and we store them next to the component, right?
Yeah.
It exists in Slice Machine.
Yeah.
Now there's a question: can we use it in production? Not yet. Can you explain maybe why we can't use it yet in production, the Slice Machine?
Yeah.
What are the missing things to be able to use it? And maybe that will answer to the next thing that we want to show.
Yeah, well, the big thing that's kind of missing is working with content relationships inside slices. That's the biggie. That's the one we've named that in a few places, and that's something that we want to solve. We want to make it easier to add those content relationships in the slices, and to do that, the big task is then knowing which content types to link to.
Yeah.
And so we move to a different level when we talk about that.
Yes. So basically, if you want to link to something, if you want to link to a custom type, the custom type needs to exist in Slice Machine in some way or another. So you say like, I want to link to this page or to this custom type, which means that our next thing that we have to do is bring a notion of custom type into Slice Machine.
Yeah.
Okay.
We want to move custom types locally alongside the slices themselves. So,
yeah.
Ready to jump in it?
Yeah. So we want to share some mockups of how we thinking we can bring the custom type into Slice Machine to make it production ready, basically, to have the notion of custom type, not only the notion of slices and sections, but also the notion of pages. So the custom type, basically.
Yeah. So if you see that screen, let me just change over. So that screen you see here in the mockup looks slightly different, but it's kind of recognizable. You've got each of your slices here, and if you were to click into one of those, not in this mockup, but if you were to click in one of those, you would have a similar screen of what you just seen before, of the different fields all together. You would see the preview image of that slice, and you'd have the ability then to push it to Prismic. But you'll notice differently in the side menu here, some different options. So one below is the header. So what we were thinking, because having a lot of this stuff locally gives us an opportunity to rethink some things that we would like to make more powerful, and one of those might be menus. We haven't got anything mocked up here to show you, but it would be cool just to think about what sort of things you would like to see if we were to bring menus locally, and to kind of change that kind of aspect of the way we're creating the content types for menus. So if you have any ideas about that, anything you think that would be cool, maybe something in the way that WordPress works with drag and drops for each of the pages, all the documents available, let us know.
So basically the idea is like, okay, we're working with components. Why not give navigation and header and footer, like layouts elements, their own home? Why should they be part of something generic like a custom type? Navigation has some kind of different nature to it, right? It's like very nested. You can move things around. Like there's a lot of work that is in navigation and needs to have its own UI. And we thought, like, in this process, when we bring it locally, as we did with the slices, maybe we could focus on the use cases and have a thing that is called navigation or menus or things like that, so that you can deal with it with an appropriate editor to it.
Yeah.
So we want your feedback about, like, okay, how do you imagine this would look like? What are the use cases? So we can build this. We didn't mock it up, as you say, but we need feedback on this.
Yeah, and we also want feedback on the thing that we did make a mock-up for, the thing that we just talked about, the thing that would be bringing those custom types, content types locally Here we've called it page templates. That's a name in work. So if that makes more sense to you than custom types, that would be cool. If it doesn't, let us know something that would make sense. So if I click into this, you're greeted with a screen that's very similar to what you just saw for the slices, but here we're talking in terms of pages for the website.
Yeah, so basically these are the in the current vocabulary, the custom types that you have, right? They have like how many? 10 of them here, right? But we call them, I mean, we're experimenting. I mean, they look very much like page templates because, in this case, we're trying to think like, what is a custom type, right? This is a question that we need to ask. We see that there are things that repeat that every customer will have, and maybe we should take a decision and say like, okay, these are the things that exist, and we call them page template. But the name anyway is not the most important thing. It's more the process. And so in this process, we want to bring the definition of the custom type of a page, and we call it page template, into the code next to the component that renders it, right?
Yeah, exactly. And like you said, this has kind of awarded us a unique opportunity to rethink what are the main advantages and things that people really use the custom type builder that you would see mainly in the Prismic dashboard at the moment. What are people using it for? What are the things that people use the most and see as the real power from that? What are things that maybe don't work as well as they should, or people don't really use well? And the things we thought about, well, one is clearly slices. Okay, so slices is something we've got here, something that allows you as a building block of a group of fields to build your page from. And so if you look at these page templates that we're talking about here, they are essentially including slices of the different groups of slices. So like a homepage might have a different group of slices for a product page, because you're not going to have a product slice that you might have on a product page. So an image, price, a call to action button, that won't exist on a homepage. And so by grouping them together differently like that, you kind of lower the cognitive load for your content writers, and you give them the options to produce a page that matches the design that the developer has put in place, and you create some sort of restrictions so that your design always looks well by what is needed at that time.
Okay.
So slices, that's
like I would imagine, like I'm making a new page template or new custom type. I will go and say like, okay, I want to include in this for the editors that will use it to generate pages. I would include this and that section, and I will choose the list of sections that I want editors to be able to use in that page template or custom type, whatever we want to name it, for creating pages. Now there are other things. It's not only about sections, right? There are other things than sections or than slices that you want to use inside a page template. What are these things? This is also the question.
Yeah. So one thing that might be, so there's the static section. And something that you might use a static section would be for a home page, maybe like this landing page just here. You have a hero or a banner, whatever you want to call it. Me and Select don't agree on what you would call that. I call it a banner, he calls it a hero. But that might be just on a group in the static section. It's used only once, and you would force the user to use that because it's always there. So it's not an optional section. It's like something that you want to every page to have for that kind of page template, right? Exactly. Yeah. So we also tried to rethink that. What is the best way that you could have a static section like that, or a group? Do people actually use groups anymore now that we have slices? Because I know I haven't used a group since maybe the second week I worked in Prismic, because slices have always been available since I worked here. But there are some use cases of groups where you will have like list of links or a list of relations, list of select boxes. I guess these are cases where maybe you will need it, but we need to learn more about that. Yeah, but maybe we could think of, like you did mention earlier, a different way to do that. Like, could we take a slice and somehow enable that to become the group, to become the static group? Because maybe you have a design very similar to that in different places, but you want that to be in the static section. So we need to explore these. But there is one thing that is also we had a discussion about, is like maybe you could have a section, a slice that is pinned. You can have a pinned slice. Yeah, so exactly. Maybe you want
it's not a static zone, but it's one of the sections, like the hero section, and you want every single page to define it. Then you would say, like, I want this component, or I want this section, this slice, and you pin it when you define your custom type, your page template, and then the editors will have to fill it because it's a static section basically, or a pinned section. You can introduce things like that as well. But maybe you want to answer something?
John Serro, I can't really see that so clearly. He brought up a good point there, that it would be good to set tags in Slice Machine, and that's something that would now be easier to do now that we've brought the page templates and custom types locally, because much like the content relationships, it needs to have those custom types locally to be able to do that.
But what do you think when you think of tags? What are the tags? And what do you use them for? I would like to understand. Like
I'm thinking more like custom tags that you would set up. Like if you're not using our default tags, if you use custom tags where you create a custom type, which itself is a tag. So an author custom type would have a name, like a bit of description about that person. Maybe link documents.
It's like more categories or some things like that, right?
Exactly.
Is it like taxonomy or?
Yeah, and that's something that wouldn't have been possible without the custom types being locally, because if you wanted to link to that that custom type, that author custom type, you need a content relationship, and so in your slices you'll now be able to use that content relationship to that author custom type, which now exists locally with page templates.
Right. So I have Jean also says in Webflow a repetitive section between page templates is called a symbol. It's basically the same idea you're trying to do with a persistent slice, probably. So another thing that we were also maybe you can show also like how so in this case when we want to add a new page template or new custom type.
Yeah, sure. So if you notice this plus symbol up in the top right corner, if we click that, we'll have two options to start from a blank template. So you would just be open with a new custom type. You would maybe select all the slices you want on the page, build it from there. Or there is also the option for a predefined template. So with predefined sets of slices together as groups. So you
can imagine like we can have this kind of list of things so that you can go quicker with some templates, and let's imagine like we're clicking on the thing for the blog.
Yep. So if we click into the blog, you're then greeted to something that's kind of a mix between what is our current custom type builder and maybe the slice builder that you used to locally. So word of warning here, this is very much a work in progress, and I have been told by the design team to make that very clear because
we didn't start implementation. We're just trying to imagine the interface, and I thought it's a good idea to share it right away with you so that you have an idea, and then we can have early feedback before advancing to things.
And that's exactly what we want here. We're showing you something as early as this, because we really want to see what you think of what it looks like, what you'd like to see here, how it functions, and that's why we've created an RFC on the Slice Machine repo on GitHub. We'll send that in the comments section, and we want everyone to jump on there, give all your feedback. What would you like to see? What's good? What would you like to see maybe less of? What doesn't work so well?
So the RFC is for the custom type builder, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
The new custom type builder.
Yeah.
So if someone can paste the RFC on the chat, thank you, Lucy, so that people can go there and comment on it. So basically here, can you walk us through what exists in the interface? We have the static zone, as we talked about.
Yeah. So you've got, like you said, we have a slice zone. Yeah, we've got
this is the static zone, and
then
we
static zone. Sorry, I read that wrong. That's the static zone. So like we talked about for like a hero or a banner, that's what exists already.
It's a different interface. It's more looking like the slice builder than the custom type builder, right?
Exactly. Yeah, but it is very similar. So if you notice, we've got our preview image over here, information about storybook, a push to.
So we'll take screenshots of the page template as well. The same mechanism that we have with slices, right?
Yeah. So you can have a preview of it, so your content writers can know exactly what to expect when they choose something like this.
Yeah, so we're extending the same idea of slices to page templates.
Yeah, and we do have groups like we talked about. everything's up for discussion here when you get onto the RFC. And below, if you look at the slice zone, you have some slices already suggested that you might use on this page.
Yeah, the selection of slices.
Yeah, these are the ones that come with that predefined page template. And you can see that each one of them talks about variations. So
we'll talk about variations when I know you're teasing here. Yeah. So, but the thing is, so this and of course we have the same things that we learned from the slice builder. Like for instance, we have the hints for the fields, so that it will help you with this kind of process of building your page component. So you can activate the what do you call them? The code hints?
Yeah, the code snippets.
Code snippets, yeah. So you can
yeah, like in the slices, we do that in the slice builder, but because these are sections that will be statically and you add them in the page template on your Nuxt or Next project, for example, we suggest all of that. So no need to jump into the documentation. You've got everything in one place.
Yeah, so that
the slice builder, the custom type builder is kind of a living documentation in that sense.
Yeah, when we have a lot of good feedback about the fact of having the code snippets in there, because it allows you to be, I mean, you might know the syntax, but it's so much easier when you define a field, you copy paste, you put it in your code, and you're done, and you keep moving instead of like switching between a lot of screens, right? It's good to have the documentation in the product.
And so you've got the API IDs and everything added in.
The API IDs, so it's ready, you paste it, and you get it. And the other thing that you might notice is we're thinking like, okay, SEO, every page will need SEO. So why not define out of the box an SEO section where we will be able to design it so we can have things that are relevant to SEO fields.
Yeah, so just an extra tab, and you've got maybe a meta title, a meta description, social cards, already there for you.
And we can have them designed in a way that look like social cards. So the content editors will look at them and they will have a feel of how this would look like on a tweet or in a different as a social card when I share it. Okay, so you see a visual of it. Also, this is a place where we can do some kind of validation and required fields, and like, okay, a description should be less than I don't know how many characters, or the description for a social card should be limited to that. So all these kind of things we can bake them in because they don't move. It's defined in the web. What is a social card for Twitter? What is a social card for Facebook? What is SEO description and title? So these things we can have maybe already some kind of hints and requirements and validation on these, so that you don't have to build it yourself. You just have the SEO tab and you have them all in.
Yeah.
So that's the idea. So because we see like everyone is doing that, maybe we can have it right out of the box, right? This tab.
Yeah, exactly. It's something that you always need. So why not have it already going? And this is the type of stuff we're talking about. Is there other things like that you can think of that you would like to see here, maybe already implemented, that's going to make your development workflow easier? Is it something that's going to speed up everything for you? And that's kind of the goal of what we want to do as much as possible, to make everything you're doing as fast as possible.
Exactly. Like if we see that everyone is doing something, then we can go and build it out of the box, and then you're way more productive when you do things, right? And the thing is, when you look at it, there are we're imagining a custom type. That's why we call it page template, because we're imagining a custom type as a thing that will be producing pages. Okay, and that's a tough, it's a bold decision, right? Say custom types are about pages. Well, single pages or repeatable pages doesn't matter, but it's about that. So that's a bold decision. But there are cases that will get out of this. Like you might want to make some kind of models that are not for pages or not for something different, right? In this case, we need to know about these, and then maybe we'll give them another home. Like we thought of navigation, use the custom type builder for navigation, right? You do that. And we thought, okay, we can give it a different home so that we optimize the edition experience.
Yeah.
But you can think of other things, banners, or maybe models. Maybe there are things that will be used across the website, but will not have a page on their own. Like I would imagine, I don't know, maybe a speaker. You'll have a model where you put the specs of the speaker. Like I don't know the name, the email, the photo, some information about the speaker for an event. And that will be used in the speaker page, but it will be used in the conference page, in the talk page, all over the place. So it's more of a model, a data model, than a page itself.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have another home for these things because they're not pages. So we need to still to think about this, and how can we get more productivity by taking decisions that exist everywhere. A page, we know what a page in on the web, and I guess we can take decisions about this. So this is the idea.
Yeah, and I'm seeing a lot of awesome suggestions in the chat, and we haven't got time to talk about them all right now, and that's why jump on the RFC, type in everything that you have, your use case, maybe if you've got ideas for designs or anything, quick sketch, throw it in there. And also Dragana at some point will be doing user tests on mock-ups like this to see what people are thinking about that. So if you want to be involved in those user tests, drop your name in that RFC. It's as good a place as any, so Dragana can reach out to you and contact you and maybe get you set up to test that with us.
That will be very interesting.
And we're trying to get everybody involved in this this thought process for this as much as possible, because we know that our users have a lot of good ideas. I know they're reaching out to me on the forum all the time about this, and this is your opportunity to really be involved with the future of Prismic, and then the future of what you'll be working with yourself.
Yeah. So I saw a few comments here, and one of them was talking about let me see. So validations. So yes, in this kind of case, for instance, for all SEO fields, we can add validation and errors on validation if people don't fill it in the right way. So this is something we can do because we know why, and we can work on that. We talked with Renaud about it. This is something we can do. And back to versioning, because that was where we started from, right? Yeah. So let me give you an overall idea of what we did here, okay? Because we went through a lot of things. But the idea is very simple. So because I saw someone suggesting, there's Avail who suggested, I would encourage you to look at the DSL of something like Prisma. This lets you go to versioning and without and whatnot, but doesn't tie you into Slice Machine. So let me maybe give you some kind of understanding of what Slice Machine is. Slice Machine is just we're trying to get best practices of how to produce websites. Okay, so the first thing we discovered that it's good to have models next to the code. Why? Because if you have a section, if you copy the section into other website, well, it has its model, it lives with it. Okay, if you change it and you go to history back, you have it together. It's a best practice to have the model in the code next to the code. Yeah. When you add a field, you add code to handle that field. When you remove that field, you remove the code, right? And you remove the model. So it's good. It's a very important thing to do that. So that's why we could easily implement that thing, as we said. But it's important to realize that it's the best home for versioning. Put it next to code. We did that with Slice Machine. And now the same practices that we saw working, we brought them into the page, basically the page builder, the custom type builder. So versioning, the best way is to have the models in the code for the page, and this way they evolve together, and you will never go into errors. Imagine if you version in another system, now you need to detect which code correspond to which custom type. That's hard to understand, right? And especially 1 year after, you say I don't remember which code correspond to what, and you need to make a system and all of these kind of things. With this way, you just go back to the branch and it works. You can go to any commit you want, any commit in the history, and click on it and run it and see how it used to be back then. No problem. Everything in there, everything in the code, you can run it. You can spawn a repository with that, and it will work. And these are a lot of good properties of this approach. So to imagine the structure, you will have a folder, okay, in your code, in your next code, that has all the components, okay. And in that folder of the component, you will have the model and the code. For pages, you'll have something similar. You'll have the folder, of the page, and inside that folder, you'll have the file that is the component that renders and the model next to it. You copy paste it, you duplicate it, the model goes with it. And then you say push to Prismic, it pushes all the models to Prismic, and then you can edit, right? And if someone else takes your project on GitHub or something, forks it, runs it, pushes to Prismic, it works as well. Everything is together, it's cohesive, and it can move all you can do whatever you want with it. I hope this is clear, because this is the basic idea.
No,
and then
that was actually really clear for me. It's the first time I imagined it like that too, so I can see it like that.
Cool. and as well as having the previews with them, so that editors know what they look like, the sections and the pages. This is a good process. We're seeing like it brings a lot of value also, because editors can understand what they're working on, right?
Yeah.
So from John, I have a question. How do you envision component testing and slice machine working together? Something like Jest. Very good question, actually. Now, there are a lot of ways of testing components, but one way we're seeing it, like maybe we could extend our way of using Storybook to go and use something like Chromatic, because any Storybook story is a valid chromatic test, and they have this process where they can run it on commits. So you can set up your GitHub to have like this kind of hooks where you would run the test when you commit, and then chromatic will run that. So this is one way of dealing with that. So every Storybook story is a valid test. So that could be one of them, but maybe there are other ways where we have to bake in. But our idea is like, okay, let's get the best practices and have that kind of workflow. Let me see if we have other questions. Would it be possible to upload from Ben? Would it be possible to upload the custom type with some API that would remove manual critical tasks to perform on deployment? Upload the custom type where, basically? Because if you are about having a GitHub repo and pushing to Prismic, then yes, we need to have a way where with some kind of hooks, when you commit, when you do something, then we push things into Prismic. We can imagine that. This is part of the process that we want to address. So yes, we want to work on that. If it's something else, we need to talk about. There are a lot of questions, and I'm afraid that if I keep answering these questions, they will not have time to show the variations and the other things that we want to show. So let me see if I have like one last question. Yeah, and we will do a QA at the end. I mean, everyone tell me this, but I like to take questions as they are hot. But we can keep some questions for the end. Yeah. So that was a good question, Justin. Thank you very much for the question. I like it. How will the push to Prismic feature work? Is it something that could be integrated in a CI or CD workflow? Yeah, exactly. This is what we want, right? Now you can do it manually throughout your work, and you're working on your test repo and you do that. That's fine. You push with a button. That's fine, because you're working on your own thing. Once you want to to production, then you can have it commit to GitHub, and then from there have something that will push it automatically as part of the testing and the build process, and then it will push. It's a very good thing, and this is what we want, where we want to get. But we want to get there with solid steps, right? So that everything is prepared for that. So if someone tells you like develop a new feature, you fork the repo, you do your changes, you test locally with your own repo, you push all the time with the button, that's fine. And then you say like, I want to go to production, and then you have the process, the CI process, which will push it. Very, very good idea.
Yeah.
Let me see. So is there a plan to have versioning possible with the web dashboard version for it, so you're not working with Slice Machine? I would like to know why, because having the code, we talked about it, is a good practice. I'm sure you have a use case maybe that we didn't cover.
Yeah, it might link back to maybe the question that was there earlier about when will Slice Machine be production ready.
Maybe about that. If it's about that, we need to learn about it. But when we have this working, and I guess it's a matter of a month or two, when we have this working, Renaud will kill me for saying that. I will let Renaud say that. I mean, he will tell you what the estimation exactly.
Yeah, we're getting close. We'll say it like that. We'll not give you an exact date, but
okay,
this is part of the process of getting there, so that we can say to you, okay, now we're production ready, and I know Arno and Hugo are working
like
their butts off.
We're making trouble for ourselves. let me share a story for you, okay? Like, everyone fancy what a CEO is, right? And like, CEO, and let me tell you how hard it is to be in this place. Like, and sometimes I have some new, like I know that, okay, someone will tell me the estimation for this is 1 month, okay? Or I don't know what, like for getting this feature will take, I'm not talking about this one here, like don't take me wrong, but for a given feature, variations in example, and the ETA is in 1 month. I know that knowledge, I have this knowledge. I talk to the team and they discuss it and they tell me, imagine. And then I'm talking randomly to someone, like maybe in the sales, our sales team, okay? Our awesome sales team. Thank you for being here as well. So I'm talking to them just, next to the coffee machine. I tell them like, yeah, I'm very excited that this thing is going in 1 month, right? And I'm just, chatting, and then I would see a message in Intercom or somewhere where like, we told that to a client, and then Renault or someone in the product team like, we didn't share yet this ATA. You don't have to share. I was just discussing to that person. I don't want to do anything, but they're right, because the problem is we don't have a clear answer to our clients on these things, and we tell them an ETA. They will plan their projects on it, right? Yeah. They will plan that they need to develop like this new thing, and they wait for the feature so that they start developing, and we might put them into trouble. So that the process is, okay, don't listen to me, listen to the official announcement, okay? Because that's something that is you can rely on, okay? Internal information are interesting, we can discuss it, but always rely on the official communication, because, if you plan on what I say, this is what I'm enthusiastic about, but maybe it will get delayed, maybe change of priority, I don't know what happens, but we try to make one thing always true, is when we communicate to you, we have a high probability, like we're sure that we can deliver on that, or like we have a high probability of delivering on time, and this is when we tell it to you. Mm-hmm. And this is when the salespeople will be talking about it. This is where the community, we can answer this. So we have these processes so that we don't promise you something and then it gets delayed and you are in trouble with your product and all of these kind of things. So I want you to have this kind of understanding, to understand like things are not exactly easy, and sometimes I know about things but I can't talk about them. So then take the news from me, take them from the official channels. I tell you just what's happening internally.
Yeah, so if you've learned anything in the last half an hour, it's don't listen to Sadek.
And I like what John said. We are all devs. We understand deadline pushing. Yeah. Okay. So maybe this is time where we can welcome
guest number 2.
Guest number
Can you come to the stage?
I don't know if... I guess you met Arno before. I really like working with Arno. Come on, are we going to show your stickers and stuff? No, it will be outside. It will be on. You should remove, and put in place. Yes. Phil, you forgot your laptop. So Arno is, if you don't know it yet, Arno is a part of the team since the creation of the company. I mean, one day I will tell you about the long story of Prismic. That will take 1 hour on its own. So I'm not going into that for now. But we have a long story. But at some point we did the spin-off. So we were like 7 of us basically, and we went out of to make our own company 4 years ago. So Arno was part of this team, so the founders basically of this company, right?
Yeah.
So. And a lot happened there. So we've been working with, I don't know how long, like 6 years or something?
Too long.
You know,
way too long.
So Arno worked on a lot of things regarding the API v2, some architecture stuff, environments, environments, variations, slice machine. You work on a lot of
things. Don't talk too much about variations. We'll have way enough time for that.
Way enough time. I don't know if we have time anyway. So I'm happy you're joining here for once. I'm
happy too. It was totally on schedule. Perfect.
So on Friday, Renaud told us like, no, not on Friday. Let's be honest, right?
Yeah, let's be honest. It was last Monday.
Last Monday.
So 2 days ago.
No. He told it last week. He told us I'm taking vacation. So next week, I'm not going to do the product meetup. But Arno is ready for it and he knows what to do. And they okay, great, thank you, okay, goodbye. And now he's off. And then I tell Arno on Monday like, Arno told me you're ready. He told, what?
But it's kind of ready.
I mean, for presentation, the feature is ready. So we're going to talk about variation, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So basically, I don't know if if you remember what variations were, but we have slices. We talk a lot about slices, and it gives you the opportunity to have different variations of a given slice. So basically, a slice, imagine it as a section, like the hero section. You might have a version of the hero section with a call to action, or without, or with, I don't know, an extra image, an extra text, whatever it is. Like you have several variations of the of that feature, right? Of that section, and this is what variations bring you, right? You have this for a given slice, different variations.
Yeah, it's kind of a pool of slices. It looks like it, but it's a bit different because it's more like when you have a slight change in your slice, you want to add a button or something, then it will be more like a variation. It's kind of the same route, but you have some small changes you want to add, and you want to be able to switch between variations. Sometimes you will have a call to action, sometimes not, but at the end it's still the same slice. So it's more like a variation in this case.
Does it mean that behind the scene is the same component that renders it? Do we basically advise people to have the same component file, or could it be different component files?
It can be anything. So basically, if you have small changes like a button, you can keep the same component, add some condition, and say, okay, I just want to display a button if it's this variation, or you can simply just create one component for one variation. It depends how different it can be, how do you want to display it. So if you have like two different variations because they are like two different kind of display, like column or lines or whatever, then you can decide to have two different
So
components.
maybe you can go into what you did. So basically that was what the variations are about.
Yeah.
So maybe we can go into and showing the actual running code of that. Do you have an idea of when this will be available? Basically we're almost done with the feature, right? And we are fixing bugs.
We are almost done. So we have bugs to fix, and it's mostly working on Storybook because today Storybook is not ready yet for the variation part, but we have like most of the core feature, let's say. So you will see it. It will be like a basic demonstration of the variation, but it will give you an idea, and you will see a bit the interface of the slices builder, of the writing room, and so on.
Let's jump into the screen, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you can get the microphone next to you so that we don't have different levels.
Okay.
A bit closer, yeah.
Okay, closer like this or
no.
like this. Okay. So this is the website from Arseny. Thank you, Arseny, from the last slice contest. So I used this front end just to demo the variation. So just to give you an idea, this is the actual website. So as you can see here, you have the different sections. And so we'll just focus on this one, just for example. So it's a basic section with the title, a picture, a background, so basic one. So the goal will be here just to keep the same section, but I just want to add a new call to action, for instance. So let's go to the slice builder. It's so small, I hope it will be big enough for you.
Maybe bring the computer to you. Bring the computer. Maybe it's easier to bring the computer to you.
Maybe I can zoom also for people. Okay. I think it's good enough. Okay, so we'll look. So here you have the different slices. So you have the card section, the form section, and so on. And the section that we want to focus on is the picture one. So this one. So basically, it looks like the slice builder that you have today. So when I go into a slice, it loads, and here you have basically the same interface, but now you have this new magic button. Add a new variation.
Maybe you can scroll into the content.
Yeah.
So we have basic content, right?
Basic content, like I said, title, picture. We have text color, background color, because you can change them. So basically, it's this: a title, a picture, and nothing else in the content. So we can even take a look at the writing room there. So as you can see, you have the section. It's basic: the title, the colors, the picture, and that's it. So here, the goal will be to add this new call to action. So we'll add.
Did you want? Is it more comfortable? Like you bring the computer on your lap?
I can bring the computer anywhere. That's fine for me.
Okay.
Now I have the mic just in front of the screen. That's perfect. It's more.
We can see more of your face.
All right. Okay. So as you can see, also we have a new ID here. It's the ID of the default variation. So when you create a slice, basically we generate for you a default variation, because variation exists from the beginning of shared slices, but now it's displayed there, because we have this. So when you want to add a new variation, we have this new form. So basically, you will decide how do you want to name your new variation. It will generate for you an ID. So for instance, I will create the picture with button, let's say.
So basically, we're adding a call to action button, right? To this section.
We want to. So basically, here I will create a variation. This is the name of the variation, and we will basically duplicate an existing one. So in this case, I will start from default slice. So what I showed you just before. So when I click on submit, basically it generates this new variation, which is a duplication of the default slice. So for now, we have the title, the picture, text color, background color.
Same fields.
So it's the same. Same fields. You can switch between default. As you can see, it's the same. The only difference that you can notice is the preview, because now the preview will be per variation. But now the goal is to add, so this new call to action. So let's add a link. Call to action link. And a call to action label. Text, where is the text? I zoom too much. Okay. I thought I lost part of the interface. Call to action label. I add it, and boom, we have everything. So now I can just say, okay, let's save. So basically, when you save, it will try to generate a preview with a storybook. It can look great or not, but basically, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, finish.
So basically, storybook that runs behind the scene. So you need to run it in the terminal, otherwise you will have a small warning. But when you run storybook, it will try to generate a preview. So you have a picture dedicated for this.
So each variation, I guess you wanted to upload a different preview.
Yeah,
right?
we can upload something else. Like you can upload a custom one if you want, like a beautiful picture. Yeah.
But this should be the how the section looks like, so that editors can know what it looks like.
That's the goal.
So each variation gets its own thumbnail.
Yeah, its own thumbnails. Yeah. So yeah, you will see why. But for now, you have only one picture in the writing room when you are in the builder or in the editor. But you will see why we need a picture per variation for the editor, because now you are able to switch between them. So
I have a question for you before you move on.
Yeah, go on.
Should the variation ID stick to the lowercase style?
I don't know. For now, it's just a Pascal case. I don't know exactly what is the right format. But
so basically, just for Reese, like, what would you like? What would you like to have? We still can change things, but just tell us what's your preference, or like what's important for you.
To me personally,
I'm asking Reese, but you can say what you want.
To me personally, I think Pascal case, lowercase,
doesn't matter.
Snake case, it doesn't matter as long as we are comfortable with it. I think it doesn't really. It depends on the project. If you prefer one or the other, I guess it's fine, both ways.
So what do you want to do now? You want to push it?
I guess we need to push it. Huh?
So now we're working locally. All of that is in your code.
So yeah, if we can look at the code quickly.
Look at the code. That's good.
So basically, if we go to picture section, we go to the model. Right. I will zoom a bit for everyone and for me. So let's close card section, form section, picture section. And then we have here the model. So you have the different variations. So now this is so if you saw the different format of a slice, most of the time you have name, description, and then you have primary items. In this case, you have variations, and each variation has this primary item stuff. So you have the default one. And then if I close it, you have the picture with button one. This is the new one. So this is all your variation. It's added there. You have the mocks, and then you have the component.
So there's Brian who's saying, this is great. I've been using a select field name style on my slice builder slices, which works great, but not the best experience for the content editors. Exactly. Yeah. This is the feedback that we've been getting. We had either a select field or we had something, we call it, labels on slices. Yeah. But it was very poor, because it doesn't allow you to understand that these different things are packaged together, and you don't only need the style to change the style and the CSS style, but you also want to add fields or remove fields or stuff like that. So that's getting this concept a bit farther. And
sometimes you want to be able to have both, like with or without the call to action. and then you want to switch from one to another. So you need to create a new slice, which is a different one. So you need to type the content all over again. So it's a nightmare.
You're giving a hint of what you're going to show.
I'm not giving any hint. You will see what happens. So basically, here we will push. So it can take some time because basically here we are going to call the custom type API, which you will discover later. And it will upload your images so we can get it from the writing room and everywhere. When you save to the file system, it's local, and then we upload the images. So boom, everything is stored on Prismic now. So we use the custom type API, and if you go back here, so in the document, we just updated the shared slice. So if I update the page, we should have something new in the interface. Drum rolls. It's a bit slow. Okay, let's scroll. And surprise, where is it? I need to go to the right section, form section. Where was it? Okay, slider.
Why Arno is getting lost?
Yeah, I was lost in the interface. Okay, I zoom in a bit. Okay, so now you have a new button. You don't have a poor label, but now you have an actual button, a magic button. When you click on it, it takes some time to load the images here. Yeah, and as you can see, you can switch between the different variations. So you have the images. So if they are like meaningful images, you can represent what it would look like. And then you can switch there. So for instance, I click there and boom, as you can see, you have 2 new fields there. So you want to add your new call to action. Let's add a link to whatever. Let's say Prismic, prismic.io.
But we saw when you switched, we didn't lose any content, right?
Okay, so it's important because you didn't lose the content. I didn't lose the content when I switched, but also when I put some content here, I can switch back to the previous variation, the default one. The field disappear. So I can have an idea what it will look like. But if I switch back to with button, then boom, the content come back.
So we don't lose the content when we switch between variations.
Yeah, so you can, for instance, type some content and then switch between variation, and you're like, okay, I want this one. Oh, maybe the previous one was better. You come back and then you get back your content because sometimes fields disappear because you change, and that's it. So here we're gonna save, publish, and go back to the website.
So we're here. We're almost an hour. We are actually almost an hour into this. I just want to tell people you just published, right? Maybe show them. Just let me tell one thing before is that we still have to show also after that with Lucy a few other things, and then we'll get to the Q&A.
Yeah.
And you have also to talk quickly about the custom type API.
Yeah.
And as usual, we have the next live meetup already scheduled, where we will tell you about how we advance on the custom type builder and the other things. So for people that have to leave now, have absolutely to leave now, I hope someone will send a link. Anyway, you will find it on our landing page for the for the product meetup. So we can share the information there, and you can also subscribe to our channel so you get notified about these when they happen. So here you published.
Okay, well, okay, all right. It's normal. It's a dev stuff. Okay, so the button is there. It's a bit buggy. So basically, the content is published, but I'm not cheating here. I'm in the code, so I added quickly a small button there. So it must be a question of idea. So yeah, here, call to action label. Boom, I need to change it there. Call to action, up, I update. So basically it's not magic. The button is there, it's not magic. When you update the slice builder, you change the content, you need to make an update on your code, which I was doing.
But then once you made this change, then when you switch between the variations, content editors don't need to add code, right?
They don't need to care about this. And so when I prepared the demo, I did a button, but I changed the idea during the live presentation. So I updated it, and now it works. You have the button there. So you can have the button here or not here, it depends, your choice. But so as you can see in the code, you have a variation field, so you can kind of switch on this field.
So in the component, you can have a kind of some kind of switch where you say like, if it's this variation, I do this, I add a button or whatever. It could be also a different component file.
Yeah, it can be on different components. You can say if it's this variation, I will load this component or this component, etc., etc.
I would like just to answer a few questions, if I may.
Yeah, definitely.
So John is saying variations are cool, but content editors aren't always good at making these choices. Seems a little dangerous to put that in the hands of editors. So basically, variations are very determined. You don't give them much choice. You don't tell them like you can add a field or not. You can say, I have this section component, the hero section, or I don't know what, and you have different variations. You can have it with call to action or without call to action, and you put that kind of thumbnail that shows them how it looks exactly like if they use it. And then they just have to choose which one they need to create their content, right? So they're not saying like, oh, I want to change the design, or everything is stable, everything is according to the branding, everything is like controlled. It's just that you give them a bit more choice so that they can, have more liberty into creating pages. But it's still very controlled. They can't say, I want to change the color if you don't want. They don't say, I want to make it higher or lower or I don't know what. That's not it. It's just you give them a package of variations or a couple of options so that they can choose from when they do their pages, basically.
Yeah, but like I said, it's like a pool of slices. So when you let them use slices, it's the same for variation, except that they are grouped and they look almost the same with small differences. But at the end, it's just slices. They cannot like delete a field or change it or whatever. It's on the custom type level. But here, it's just a bunch of variation. They can select one or the other. They are designed, they are controlled, and everything is like Sadek said, stable.
So I want to answer a few other questions here. Is this variation feature a slice machine only feature, or would it get this also in the regular Prismic CMS? So this is a good opportunity for me to explain that slice machine. You can imagine slice machine. Well, actually it is some kind of the canary version, the next version of how Prismic will look like. So I suppose your question is about, I have a project, okay, that is done before Slice Machine existed, and I want to profit from these features. How can I do? If that's your question, Jason, then we will put a guide together where you would simply take your custom types, and we'll give you helpers to put your custom type in the code, and then you're done. Slice Machine is not much more than that, right? It's just about bringing your custom types in the code, so you put it in the folders of the technology that you're using, and then you will be able to use it. Now imagine if you are using some technology that Slice Machine today doesn't support. Either we can bring that support, or we can find a solution where these features, they exist in Prismic. It's just that the way we build them, we start from Slice Machine, right? But Prismic knows about variations once you push these into Prismic, right? So that's the idea. So I don't know. Please let me know if it's more about for you, like you have an existing project, or there's some reason for which like you can't use the way we suggest to use a Slice Machine. I'll be happy to answer these. Also, I had a question. How often we do these live meetups? We do them once per month. As often it's the last Wednesday of the month. So last Wednesday of every month. So in April, it will be the last Wednesday of April. If someone can put a date there, if it's not a holiday or some kind of thing like that. So if someone can share that date so that people can see for the next one. I don't know. There are many questions. Do you have anything to add for the variations?
No, not particularly for now.
All right. So maybe this is time where we talk very quickly about the custom type API.
Yeah, I guess it would be a quick introduction, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the custom type API.
Maybe the why first.
The why first? Yeah, definitely. So the custom type API. So the goal of the custom type API in the beginning was to be an internal tool for the slice builder. Because today we have the writing room, but now we have the slices builder, which is local, and that that can make some changes on slices and soon on custom types. So the goal is for the slice builder to be able to communicate with Prismic, with the database, without having to contact the writing room or do stuff manually or copy paste or whatever. So it was meant for this, but also we saw that we have other usage for this. For instance, Gatsby people. I know that some people talked about Gatsby in the chat, but for instance, we have the plugin of Angelo Ashmore. Hello, Angelo. We have his plugin, and this plugin requires for you to copy-paste all your custom type for it to run. In this case, the plugin can be updated, and so rely on the custom type API to download on the fly all your custom types and then generate all your pages.
All your schemas, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and this has been demanded a lot, and that's why we built it. So we didn't build it for any other thing than generating schemas for Gatsby, and also maybe Typescript, right? Could help also with Typescript.
For Typescript, it can help also. We talked about versioning. We thought maybe have some kind of way.
But I don't like the versioning. The versioning one is the best, is to do it in the code. There's no I don't.
That's why maybe we can have some kind of function in the CLI just to download the custom type in your code, or
for existing projects. So maybe we can
project.
use the API ourselves to give you some kind of script. So if you're moving from an existing project, once we're in production, and I guess we will be soon be able to push the Slice Machine further, then you will have that kind of script that will allow you to download things.
Yeah, and so at least if you're not using Slice Machine, you can kind of version your custom types in your code in the meantime. So that's.
But I would recommend everyone to be patient, because we're almost there, and that's the better process and the best practice to have the things in the code. I will have the script then.
All right. So this part I will go over quickly. It's just a documentation that I wrote, which is a Postman documentation. So you can find it. We can share the link. I don't know if you have the link, Lucy. So we can share the link. So basically, it's a Postman documentation. I have some explanation about how to set up your environment. So basically, your repository email password. And then you have a bunch of operation on how to update, insert, get all your slices. Same for custom types. So I will give you a quick example. Here, if you want to retrieve all your slices, it's simple. You just have to provide the token. So now you have a way to log in through request. So you will get a token. You have the example here, the login. You contact auth.prismic.io/login with your credentials. You get a token. And then you can contact the API this way. You provide the token, you provide your repository in the headers, and that's it. You make that query, /slices, and boom, you get a result. You get an array of all your slices. It's the same for custom types. You can query also one slice, sorry. So like /slices /call to action. You can insert, you can update. And basically, the custom type API will have a strong validation, will make sure that everything is valid, push this into Prismic, and that's it. Of course, the token is user-based, so if you don't have the right to insert a custom type or update, you won't be able to do so unless you use an admin token or a permanent token that was introduced just a few days ago, I guess, in the interface. So
Anyways,
that's it.
That's it for you. Okay. I would like to answer another question just quickly. No, get back to the question of the next meetup. I guess, who said it? Is it, Jed said it. It's the 28th of April. And if you go to the link of the event, you can add the calendar into your calendar. We have a calendar, and then you will see it appearing on your calendar. I guess let me share the link here. I guess it's like Prismic/events/product meetup. Is it events, or is it events.prismic.io? I don't remember that. It's events, right? It's a subdomain, yeah. Events.
Shows.
You put it?
Shows.prismic.
Shows, yeah. Whatever, man. Shows. I'm completely wrong, Product meetup. Okay.
Leave me alone. Whatever.
Let me paste it here. So you can then add yourself to the calendar. All right, maybe this is the time where we can have Lucy here to talk about the other things. Thank you very much, Arnaud.
Bye, guys.
I'm very happy to have you here.
Happy to. Thank you, Phil. Bye, guys.
So meanwhile, Let's see if I have other things. Yeah. We pasted the link like 10 times. Sorry for that.
That's okay.
There are a lot of good questions. I hope like the team, I'm sure the team is there to know these questions and work on them. I saw also some kind of display things about the name of the slides and stuff like that. These are really good suggestions. I guess also if you can use the RFCs, this way we have a history of who wants what, and then we can work on it. Lucy is here.
Okay.
Thank you for joining.
Yeah. So hi everyone, and today I'm here like to deliver some quick bits for the end of the meetup this time. And the first one, I want to talk to you about bulk actions. So if you were here during last product meetup, we show you these slides, which were like a screen of like what bulk action will. What do you need? Oh, it's not plugged correctly.
So we're not having the screen yet.
Okay. Yeah. This
Yeah.
time
Now it's responding.
okay.
So now
Let's start again. No worries. Okay, here we go. So yeah, bulk action. So last time we showed you this screen during our product meetup, and we're saying that it will be launched somewhere in March. And guess what? It's on production right now, so not on YouTube, but here we go. So hey, that happens. So yeah, like it's on production right now. We're really excited about that. Quick disclaimer, it's in beta, so you have to request access for it in order to have it activated on your repository. If you are curious and would like to try bulk action for yourself, we'll have a link in the chat right now where you can like request access to it. But in the meantime, I'll give you like a quick tour of what is it right now and what's bulk action right now in Prismic. So like most bulk action, like we have like some like checkbox that you can check within like your repository. And those allows you like to perform different actions on multiple things that are present within your repository. So for example, if I tick those three ones, I can either like unpublish them because some of them are live, or publish everything. So I can do that and publish everything. I hit the button, and here we go. I just published 3 documents like in a second, and that's a new workflow that we introduced to Prismic that just like allows you like to be way more like performant while using your repositories. There's another thing that is quite interesting about it, is that if, for example, like I create a new document, so for example, I create like an art document, I add the title, and I save it. So this document is still a draft. And now let's say that I go to my home page and I want to reference this art within my home page. So I update my link here, I select the document, I select the last art post that I made, which is the title one, I save it. And now I get back to my home page, and like for example, like you want to publish like just the home page, and this will break because like we have my title post art that I just made, and which isn't published right now. So what happens if I hit publish now? This will prompt me for like, it will notice that there's like a dependency from on my home page that hasn't been published to and is not likely to be published with this change. So like I can just say, yeah, okay, like publish the title along it, and I can hit publish, and and both got published at the same time. So
basically we track the links, and then we say like, hey, be careful, you want maybe to publish this together with it.
Yeah, exactly. So this way you don't end up with broken link on your website. And this is pretty much it at variation for Node Prismic. As I said, this is in beta, and this is like the V1 of bulk action within Prismic, because later on we'll be able like to bulk add document to a release, and in another time, like in a few months, like maybe you will be able like to bulk edit your media libraries to perform multiple actions on like everything that you have, every asset that you have within your Prismic repositories.
And Dragan, I shared the link for if you want to have early access to bulk actions.
Great.
So this is part of the things that where we say like, okay, there are some annoying things about the interface that we want to manage, and one of them is like multi-select and do bulk actions, right?
Exactly. So yeah, like this is it for bulk action. Again, it's live, and you have the link in the chat if you want to have it activated on your repository. So moving on, we want to talk about the new CLI. So quick question for you in the chat, like who's familiar with Prismic CLI? I guess like some of you are, because we have some people that enter the slice contest, and in order like to build a slice machine, you have to use the Prismic CLI. Basically, the CLI of Prismic allows you like to perform actions on your Prismic repository through a terminal as a developer. So it's a lot of like helpers and like tools that you can use as a developer to like just work with Prismic. And basically, what happened right now with our CLI is that when we introduce slice machine, and with time, the CLI become like quite bulky and chunky to work on, and because we weren't using.
Right. Yeah, I agree with
Okay,
you saying.
great. We're on the same line. And yeah, like because it became like one of the reasons for that we weren't using like a dedicated framework for building a CLI, so like it was a bit wild to some extent. And this was getting more and more difficult to work on the CLI, and we're seeing like a lot of like changes now and then that weren't like expected. So we decided to revamp our CLI from scratch and to build it on top of a really known framework, which is called Oakleaf, which is a framework for building CLI with Node.js. And we are about to release that really soon. If you're interested, the CLI will be released in alpha next week, hopefully. And well, this is not just like a rework of the CLI, because like one of the main things that we also wanted to introduce with this work of CLI is the way to add framework support to the CLI easily. And this is a really great news for Gatsby people, because it will be like way more easier like to add support to Gatsby for Slice Machine for the CLI now, where it was like quite like a lot of hard-coded things in the past when it comes to supporting Next.js and Next.js for Slice Machine within the CLI.
So basically, the CLI, well, for those who are not familiar with it, it allows you to start a repository, to start the slice builder. It allows you also to push things to Prismic. It has several commands to it.
Yeah.
We've done it and we experimented with it. Now we're building it on top of better tools so that it's simpler. But also we added a mechanism that allows people that are not us to add support of the CLI to other frameworks, like not only Nuxt and Next,
Yep.
but Gatsby, Gridsome, and Svelte and the others.
Exactly.
So basically we open that support in some kind of mechanism of plugins or something like that.
Yeah, there's a generator mechanism, so you can like build the generators and have it running through the CLI. Basically, like that's something that Oakleaf is introduced, and well, this is what we are using for CLI right now.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
All right. So that's everything I have to say about CLI. Anything else?
I don't know. I mean, there's now the next steps is like we want to work with someone in the community to start using this new version of the CLI to support more frameworks. So that could be also good. So like work on the support of Gatsby for Slice Machine. Because what happens with the CLI is that when you type a command, we need to generate some files, into the project.
Yeah.
And we need to do some changes to the properties of the project. This is what the CLI does.
Exactly.
So now we abstracted these things so that you can write a few things in the implementation, in the generator that you implement, and then you'll have the support, the full support of Slice Machine, basically.
Yes. Exactly. So again, we will release in alpha pretty soon this new CLI. If you're interested about it, there's an RFC about it it's within a pull request on our Prismic CLI repository. Dragana, if you can drop the link into the chat. And basically here you can read every change that we made within the CLI and what we introduced. It's a bit technical, but like if you're into that, and we have a lot of developers in the chat, like you might be interested to read about it. So that's it for our CLI. And you are talking about Gatsby, and regarding Gatsby, we have a really great news, is that we are welcoming a new developer experience engineer at Prismic in a few weeks. And this developer experience engineer is no more than Angelo Ashmore, who's the author of the Gatsby plugin for Prismic.
So this is really, I mean, you a lot of people already know Angelo. So we thought we want to give more time to Gatsby people, because we have a lot of people that spend time and they invested in Prismic and Gatsby, and we thought how can we do that? And Angelo was always working with Gatsby and already giving a lot of time, and we thought don't you want to do that for a living? You want to change up? And we're very happy to have Angelo join us. Angelo is based in Hawaii, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And this is part of our intention to work more with more frameworks, especially with the Gatsby people. We had this meetup, the ones where we it was dedicated to Gatsby, and we thought we should give more care to this community, right?
Definitely.
So it's part of it. I don't know if Angelo is around. It's very early there in Hawaii. I guess it maybe 6 a.m. or 7. Yeah. So 12 hours.
Yeah.
Wow.
So good morning, Angelo. Sure you
Good morning, Angelo.
And
this is part of growing the team, because now we have different places where we're growing the team, the DevX, so that we understand more about what developers want and help them with achieving what they want to achieve. But we also hiring in the product, for the editor, for Slice Machine, and for different things in the writing room. So if you have people around you that are interested in that, don't hesitate to let us know, and we'll be very thankful. Yeah, you had something else? I thought you had something else.
No, nothing is QA. So.
Yeah, we have then the Q&A. And by the way, did we talk about? So we'll be for people that are going to React Summit. We are sponsoring there, and we will be there for a talk, a panel, and a workshop.
Exactly. So if you're into React and you'll be part of React Summit, which is happening in 2 weeks, we'll be there for lightning talks, and also for discussion panels and a workshop. So you will see us there, and you will learn more about Prismic there.
So if you're going to React Summit, you will see we'll see you there.
Yeah.
So now I would like to answer maybe some of the questions that we have. If you have any questions that are not related or not related to what we had here, about anything about Prismic, anything about developer experience, the writer experience, anything at all, then this is the right time. Or anything about the stories of internal things that happen in Prismic, I'm happy to answer anything. It will be fun to answer them. So this is the time. Q&A questions. Let me read through all the things and see. I'll give it also some time so that people start asking questions. I guess we have people here, so we'll get a few questions. So I have a question here. I have to make up an answer though.
I saw a nice question for Joseph who was asking does Gatsby, the new Gatsby image plugin, work with Prismic? I think perhaps Alex has an answer for that, but
throw the question at Alex, right?
As you might know, I'm into Vue.js, and I'm sorry I don't have the answer to the Gatsby image support right now, but someone will get back to you about that quickly. But I guess that if the Gatsby image plugin support ImageX, which is our image provider, it should work out of the box with Prismic.
Right. I have a question from Jan. I'm using Prismic to feed the same data to both mobile apps and websites. It works really well in its current form. Will make it Prismic more suitable for the web, make it less suitable for other platforms. Very good question. Very good question here. I think there are some things that are, basically global to apps and website. There is this kind of metaphor of a page, even in apps. I try always to make the exercise when I'm using apps. I was using Amazon, to buy things, and there is a concept of a page, you see, and there's even a back button now in the app. It has been for quite some time. So even in the app, you have a back button, you have the page, you have the header. Maybe you don't have SEO, but you have and also the page looks like sections. So I guess everyone is taking the same metaphor because it's good for browsing, it's good for reading. Maybe some things will have to do special for mobile apps, and our thing is just like, okay, if that's a need, if that's a requirement, let's make it, but let's make it to be optimized for that kind of use case instead of doing it generically. Because when you do things in a generic way, then it's very hard to make the experience right. Navigation, today, if you have navigation in Prismic, it looks like a custom type where you have slices and then you have nesting. It kind of works. I use it in different websites. But still, it's not ideal, right? Because if you look at navigation, when it's a specialized editor, the experience is much better. It looks like a navigation. You have more nesting. You have a lot of other things. So this is the idea. So if mobile apps need things that we didn't take into consideration, then we need to add these. It's a good thing, and I don't think it will be a lot of work. So that's the idea. I don't know if it answers your question. Tell us, please.
Yeah, definitely, because the workflow that you have when you're building for a mobile app is quite different from the workflow that you have when building a website. So if there are any things that we can do towards that, let us know.
So I have a question here from Colby. There was some speak of a rich text editor upgrade enhancement in the future. Can you speak more for that to that? Yes, I don't know if I can.
That's a dangerous field.
Arnaud is laughing behind the scene. Yes, we'll give a lot of attention, a lot of work on the editor. But I would like maybe we'll get to that. Maybe in the next meetup we will like dedicate more talk. I don't know if we're ready in the editor, but we're working on a few things. We're very, very early in the thinking. We're not just determined, but we're building a team. So already, what I can tell you, if you know anyone that could work on an editor and that they have success on the editor, well, this is the right moment, because we're building a specialized team for the editor, because we want to refresh the editor and get it going more quickly.
Yep. And one thing I forgot to mention while talking about bulk action is that this dashboard that I show you is made on top of React, and that's a rework that we've done over our writing room in Prismic, and that was quite a milestone for us to achieve before like being able to work again on features like the rich text within Prismic.
Yeah, so we're already migrating a lot of bits into React. The editor will have its own thing, and we are like working very actively on building that team to make. So we want to make the editor progress in the same way as /machine is progressing, right? With these iterations, open RFCs, even have maybe part of it, all of it open source. So yeah, you can expect a lot happening. I did a lot of promises here. I know I will have to deal with that when Renaud sees that. I hope he doesn't see the recording.
He's on vacation, right?
He's on vacation. We don't care. Okay. No, but seriously, this is, we're giving a lot of attention to the editor. So how to manage redirections? Do you have any tracks? So how to manage them properly? If you're talking about redirections, when you have like you change, let's say, the URL section, the UID of a page, and you want to redirect to make a permanent redirect into the other one, then we have a mechanism for that actually. Basically, we keep, if you make a query with an old UID, okay, so you change your ID, it was something, and then you spotted a mistake, or you wanted to work SEO and you changed it. What will happen is that if you query with the old UID, you will still get the document, but if you compare it to the current UID, you see it's not the same. Okay, and this is the moment where you should say, okay, I redirect to this new UID, and this is what you can do. You can spot it in the code and compare the UIDs, understand that it has been updated, and this is the moment where you could go and do the redirect. So that's why we keep the history of UIDs, so that you can do a proper redirect whenever content editors change the UIDs, right?
Yeah, there's a lot more of questions, but maybe we can. Well, depends.
You want to finish, right? No, I don't want.
Okay, just up to you. I'm happy to stay and answer questions. Just like we're taking a lot of time.
Sometimes this happens with when we have all hands meeting in the Zoom, and then we say like I tell people like I'm staying here as long as there is one other person in here.
Yeah.
Can we do that today? I don't. No,
but
maybe not.
Maybe
not.
Stream, so I will be here on Tuesday.
Yeah, I mean, other than you, right? Field wants to go home.
I need to go to the toilet.
You know the what?
I need to go to the toilet.
The toilet.
Okay.
I recently had trouble. Brian says, I recently had trouble making an accordion slice where I needed to have accordion draws repeatable zone with a dynamic length list of repeatable fields, titles of content within the draw. Yes. So basically repeatable inside repeatable. I guess this is the idea.
Yep.
So this is, there seem to be several cases where you need some kind of tabs or accordion titles or things like that. So basically simply like you have one level that has some kind of tabs or some kind of like different zones, and inside these there are repeatable things. This is something that we had. This is something that we thought about in the product team, something we might address, but we need first to kind of get to the editor to change it, to get it on that kind of track, and then we can manage these kind of things. So I don't think you can expect it soon, like really in the short term, but this is something that we want to address for sure. So when you archive the page, Krunal is saying, when you archive the page, then you lost all your IDs there and is now a way to look up. Is there a way to look up like where the UID? Maybe the question, I guess, when you archive a page, these UIDs are reserved. You can't use them in new pages. Is there a way to say like, okay, where are these UIDs reserved? And maybe you go and archive these pages or do something about it. I guess other than in the API, you don't have a way. We wanted to implement a mechanism where you could go and delete back the UIDs, like unreserve them or something like that. But we didn't prioritize this one. I don't know how many people are having this problem of already used UIDs where you have to delete actually the version that contains them to be able to do that. But I know that it could be problematic. Yes, Michael says, yes, please, on nested repeaters. Let's make it recursive. No, not recursive. So much I love recursiveness. And trust me, I really love it. But in UI-wise, you present this to a content writer. I don't know what the reaction would be. I mean, do we have any content writers out there? I guess we have a lot of developers, but I'm wondering, do we have content writers?
I don't know. But the main issue with like nesting field inside the fields too much is that like UI/UX, it's getting like really complicated to wrap your hand around it, and it's hard like to do a nice design around that, so it's clear for everyone like what's going on when you're editing content.
Yeah, always think about it. At some point, you move to another thing, and then the content editor have on the marketing team have on their own to create the page and understand what's going on. So if you have like nesting, or like relations and stuff, then they want to edit something, modify something, and they can't find where it is. That's really bad. So we should, as developers, try to make things with not too much nesting. Like 2 levels is already a lot, right? We have now 3 levels. That's really a lot. We should try to make solutions so that we get to that. Maybe some designs will need more. I would like to see the designs, and the more we have designs and the more we consider, maybe we can find a different way to handle these in the interface so that it's still accessible and usable by people that are not as technical as us. Even if me as a developer, I like, recursive, repeatable things, but I know for content editors, especially, also to understand, like some content editors come to the project after it was started and it's done, right? And then they come into it and there's no one because there has been a change and I don't know what, and they get in front of the editor and they need to understand it. And this is a very important requirement from you as developers who make the content model, but from us also as a company to make some kind of constraints so that we don't run into these kind of problems.
Yep.
So maybe I will take two more questions. Let me find.
Yeah. Again, like we're answering questions, so if you have some last minute question, like it's the right time to submit them. After that, you can still contact us on our community forum or wait until the next meetup to ask them.
Yeah, Phil and the education team will be happy to answer your questions. You can also ask us in the community, but we can answer here live. 2 last questions, if someone has any. Could be about anything, so don't hesitate. If you have anything, there's no... every question is important, and I guess a lot of people will relate to your questions, so that will be helpful for everyone as well. So I don't know, there are certainly questions that we didn't answer up there, but I'm a bit lost with all the comments. Okay, I will wait. Okay, can we? Okay, thank you, Nikolai. Thank you for your question. Let me read it. Can we make it possible to select a specific webhook when publishing? Example, drop down with available hooks.
Can I make it possible?
So not only one webhook, but like several, and then we instead of like switching in the code on which webhook to do.
Yeah.
I guess we need to add it to some kind of the feature request to see like if the team. But can you give us like maybe the use case?
Definitely, like that's a really nice question, and that might be some useful feature there. I think we're all curious about like what's your use case towards that. I guess like maybe you have some kind of staging and production environment, and you want like to wrap your hand around it with the with webhooks. So yeah, let us know about it. And yeah, there's a question about the Dragons T-shirt. Sadek's the last one.
So no, Darren says no comments on Sadek's shirt this meetup. Well, you just did, right?
Yeah.
You just started the whole thing. How many dragon shirts exist? A lot, and I like this one. You know, you have a dragon here. It's really good dragon. I have some where they have dragons on the back, but you know you can't see it except if I turn. But I love this one. This one is a second my favorite. My favorite is the flashy one, but this one is really good. I can give you the links if someone is interested in buying these ones. Now, I don't guarantee the quality. They seem to be good quality anyway.
We need a Prismic swag with a dragon.
With a dragon, right? And we changed the... I don't know if Anthony would be happy about that. I mean, Anthony... So Anthony is our designer, right? Well, now we have more designers. We have Benjamin who joined, and we're hiring more people. But he's so much about like, okay, let's make things simple. Let's not complicate. And I'm more like about like, oh, let's add this and this and that, and they will be cool and dragons and stuff. So yeah, you can understand the story there. So you know, I can't push dragons into the branding. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, but I really believe in what he says, and that's why he's here.
And we all love the dragon's shirt.
How to? I'm trying to pronounce the name. The roof, maybe. I'm sorry for the pronunciation. I don't know the name. Sadek, love the shirt despite what others might say. I don't know how to interpret that. How are you thinking about your growth goal as you scale your team and client base globally? Okay, very good question. So I think that. So there Prismic, like as I told, and we can make a whole event about this because Prismic has gone through a lot of things. Like we started as a project inside a company, we spin off as a company on ourselves, and that took a lot of energy in the beginning to bring a client base and make a product and all of that. And back in 2019, end of 2019, we said like we want to build a community. We know we have users, but we want to be able to talk. Talking with the community will allow us to be right. We want to be right. We want to work on the right things, and we want to solve the right problems and not solve our own problems. We're good at solutions, but we're not as good on being on the right problem. Okay, so that's why we said like a community will have that guarantee for you because they will be here yelling at us when we do something wrong, right? Like this is not what I wanted. Why do you do this? And we'll have that kind of feedback, and that's a very important thing for us. So that's the first thing. We said like, okay, let's move the community. And I love that we're having this now because it wasn't the case 1 year ago. It wasn't the case. So I'm really happy about that. Now for the growth goals, I'm realizing that we are into something big, right? This component approach, this section, this slices, the way you use it, the way you give us like information about it, and the way you structure your projects. It's a new thing. It's not a headless CMS. It's not only headless CMS. Like imagine when you talk about the headless CMS, it's very much about architecture and connecting things together, which is really interesting. But I guess there's something also about web creation. And I'm thinking about it, more it seems that the thing is we want to move from creating pages to creating page builders that will allow content writers to create pages. So we as a developer, like me and you, we should be building page builders, custom page builders. This way you will allow your team to scale their content creation. Why do you need to do that? Because simply the marketing game, it's very tough. Like you need to really to publish a lot because for SEO, for acquisition, you need a lot of creation, and you need to have different pages. They need to be attractive, rich, all of these kind of things. And you can't use like something like, I mean, some can, but using something like Wix and Webflow and stuff, it's hard to get your branding the way you want it for certain companies. But I think that together today with components and slices and these kind of things, we can allow you to build these kind of page builders. So you will be page builder developers or builders, right? So you will make page builders and you will ship them instead of shipping pages, and then your teams will be on your own. So that's the idea. That's where we're going through. So as the growth of the company, we are investing a lot into user research, and into, of course, our product team, but then all the other teams that allow us to be able to be connected to our customers. Of course, there's a sales team, and we have, I guess we're kind of fortunate to be in this market where we have always like inbound business that a request of business, and clients also bring other projects. So we're really good, and we have to grow this team, and we're working. Francois is working a lot on it. One day I might have him here, and he can talk about it. But the important thing is like we should be real to you. You're bringing this success, right? You are telling us you are there. You build the things. So we should not. I think maybe we're going to grow a lot. We have more money. We're going to grow and hire and do more stuff. But for me, there's one thing that is important, that we should not betray you. You brought us this. You went and took the risk and went to the clients and told them like, I want to use Prismic. I want to implement it with Prismic. So this is very important to me. And I don't want to betray you in that growth. So I don't want at some point to change the pricing so you cannot test for yourself. So you can build your own personal project. So if you are a freelancer, you will be able to, I want to keep that because you make the market, you make the innovation. This is you who's making the whole thing. So it's very important for me to focus on that. So as we grow, it's important that we grow together and we don't betray that trust that you gave us. But we have a lot of opportunities. So we're growing in terms of business, in terms of market, in terms of a lot of things. And we'll have discussions about this. I'm already planning like somewhere in May or June, you will hear more about our growth strategy on all of that. I know I will have the time to structure it, so I will talk maybe more about it then. So I guess that will be the last question I will take.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, thank you everyone for being here. That was a good one. Without Renaud. With a lot of new faces, maybe for some. Thank you everyone for joining, and see you in the next one, the one in April 28th.
28th.
Yeah, and I will try to bring more news about the growth and about other things that we're bringing. So see you there. And meanwhile, talk to Phil, talk to the others on community, and get us to fill these RFCs with what you need, and talk to Dragana. Dragana will organize these sessions to understand more your use cases so that we bring them back to the product. This is how you can influence us. Thank you very much, and see you next time.
Bye.
Goodbye.